Hi, good to be here. So I want to tell you about my journey as a founder. Um, I'm going to try and kind of weave a few different journeys together, the journey of the company and my own journey. Um, and I also just want to kind of highlight that there is this whole new category in tech on the rise called femtech. So this is technology that are addressing needs that women have because we have this unique biology. Um, and my intention is to try and also talk a little about some of the kind of invisible and then kind of underlying drivers that are in me as a founder. So the journey starts with motorcycles. Why? Because it's me in the yellow helmet. The other kid is my brother. So my parents are these very adventurous people that traveled around the world with me and my brother since I was little, and kept doing that. So I have seen a lot of the world, which was amazing. And one of the things that really got deeply embedded in me was seeing women's lives across the planet in all different shapes and forms, and feeling that people want to live self-directed lives. They want to have agency over their life. And not everybody has, and I think they could have. So that was a big inspiration for starting Clue, and somehow I managed to curate my own education since I was 14, and somehow motorcycles became part of the curriculum. So here I am, 18 years old on my first trip alone, or without my parents, on my little motorcycle in Mexico. And I always just managed to kind of do weird things, things that I just wanted to do, things that I dreamed of, things that felt meaningful. So I have lived a very self-directed life, I think it's fair to say. And on these journeys from Southern Africa, this is me, 13 years old, with my first computer, and an amazing woman from the Himba tribe in Namibia. I've seen women, as I said, wanting to, find their way in life on their own terms. And with tech, we have a really unique opportunity to support this desire. I started a motorcycle touring company with my dad, and then I had this idea to see if I could use the desert as my office, to see if I could run my company out of my laptop with my little satellite device. And it was a lot of fun. I did that for 5 years. I had a very nomadic lifestyle. And so I've never worked anywhere. I've never had a boss. I've never tried to have a normal job. So keep that in mind when I talk about having a self-directed life. I might have taken this to an extreme, but I think a lot of people want to, be their own director in their life. So I had seen across the globe how fundamental it is to have this agency of your own life. And at some point in my late 20s, I was like, I had ended an unwanted pregnancy, and I was like, why is this thing about family planning so complicated? Tried to be on the pill, it was not working for me. And I started looking, looked into a lot of patent databases because I thought maybe there's some new amazing technology that could become a new form of family planning. And it was all about more of the same. And I was like, what? There has been no innovation in family planning for 70 years. Can we just pause on that for a second? 70 years. Like in that time span, we have developed the internet, nanotechnology, we put people on the moon, and yet a woman doesn't to this day know, like, what's going on? Can I become pregnant today? It pissed me off. I was like, what? This is not good enough. Like, we have to do something. So that was my spark for Clue. So I went from motorcycles to female cycles. So why care about female health? We have 4 primary sex hormones that are govern our bodies for like 40 years of our lives and beyond. And it gives us some very unique life experiences. Because these are men's hormones, Not all that much happening. They're still very important, but it does mean that women have a unique set of life experiences that are different from men's. So having this sense of like women across the planet and why is family planning difficult and why don't we have data on this, I just started to start Clue together with my life partner, Hans. We both felt this really urgent need to bring scientific, valid, good information to people about their bodies. So we built Clue. It's a cycle tracking app that provides science-based, real, trustworthy information and insights about women's bodies. So maybe you don't know this, but actually period tracking is the most searched for term in the app stores over in health and fitness. So more searched than running, meditation, pregnancy. Like, it's a big deal. And we have well over 11 million active users. We've raised 30 million venture capital, which is way too little. There should be much more money flowing to us, for sure, but still a good start. And it helps people kind of unlock this power that we have in our bodies. Our bodies know things, and we need to help people understand what their bodies understand so that they can live self-directed lives. And I will say there is something in our times, there is a cultural shift happening, like women are standing up, they are rejecting these things that are holding them back, whether it's taboos or discrimination or, there is an acute lack of technology for women to solve the needs that we have, and more women are starting companies, are starting, providing services, products to cater for these needs that we have. When I think about, what should we develop and where do we put our resources as a startup, we're really pushing, we're pushing to do more with the data, we're pushing to do more with our AI to really give more value back to users based on their data. We want to give them insights that they can use every day to live their life as they want to. And so we're gathering a huge amount of data at Clue, billions and billions of data points, and I feel that we must keep ourselves to really high ethical standards, because this is the most sensitive data, and don't get me started, but there is a lot of crap happening in the tech world and in the app economy that I don't agree with and that I don't think is serving users. And I want users to start demanding their tech companies to have better ethics and actually handle their data with the level of care and privacy and protection that they deserve. We don't sell data, also want to say that. So we do a lot of educational content, which is part of trying to support people in having a voice, in being able to advocate for themselves, of being informed and knowledgeable enough that they can make good health decisions, that they know what the data actually means, that they understand where data is flowing in this world. It's a huge educational task. And we do this with science and knowledge and real facts and things that you can trust. We also want to bring something back to society. We're gathering this very precious data set, and we feel that it's also our responsibility to make that work for society at large. So we do a lot of science partnerships with amazing research institutions around the world, and then we learn something new, we can build new features, and we can give those back to our users, who are the ones who gave the data to make the science work possible. So we're trying to get that loop going. I want to say, so all these ethical questions of like, what's my ethical foundation as a founder? I'm talking to 11 million people. What do I say? How do I think about where this data is going? How do I think about my growth tactics? There's a lot of kind of ethical questions. And also this question of like, how am I a role model? How am I a CEO? How do I stay in my own body in this storm of being a founder? So I get help. I take these questions quite seriously. So these two people are important people right now in my life. So one is a spiritual teacher. He's called Thomas. He's a cool guy. He's full enlightened. He's a very special being. So I travel 4 times a year to California from Berlin to do a 2-year training program to try and become a wiser, deeper, more peaceful human being, which is hard work and amazing. And then the other person here is Barbara, so she's a body therapist. And I go to her every week, and she helps me get into my body, and she helps me develop kind of body literacy, I call it. It's a whole world for those of you who are not doing this kind of work. It's just amazing. I think this is going to be a big thing in tech and in the business world, a bit like meditation is starting to come. I think body work is like the next thing. And then I try to bring this back into the office, and it really informs our culture at Clue. It informs how I interview people, who I interview. It informs what kind of offsites we do. It really, this idea of we are full, whole human beings, that we bring all our stuff to work, and how do we actually take care of people? How do we help people grow? How do we manage fear? How do we create a safe environment? Like, there's so many things that I feel I can take from this kind of self-development and spiritual work and bring into the workplace in a work-appropriate form. It also keeps me somewhat sane, juggling family life. Those are our 2 kids. And also managing to do a startup together with my life partner has its own sets of challenges and benefits, for sure. So maybe I should have had a third picture of like a couple therapist, which is definitely a very important component to make this whole thing work. And also, it helps me, as I said, try to navigate, like, what is my role as a CEO? It's a weird, floppy, blobby creature. And it changes every day. It's different being a CEO for, when you're 5 people around a table to when now we're 65, 70 people. How do you morph yourself into keep fulfilling, serving the company? So, and also I will say, if I don't define my role, somebody else will. So I really try to take ownership, and in that way also have a self-direct, like, how do I want to be a CEO? And, where is this whole journey taking me? What kind of CEO do I want to be? And what am I? And a big part of me getting clearer on who I am as a CEO has been hiring a fantastic management team. These people are amazing. They are so much better operators than I am, thank God. And so I can focus on what I'm good at and let them do the stuff that they're good at. And this gives me a lot of freedom. And one of the things that I have installed in my operating system, my own personal operating system, are my Wednesdays. So my Wednesdays, they look like this. This is the time of the week where I can actually think, where I can be creative, where I can get nurtured, where I can find my body again, where I can be inspired, where I can be taken care of, where I can feel safe. And I think it's a huge kind of, it's being hugely undervalued to give leaders time to think. We run around like chickens without heads, we have meetings, we do stuff, but actually taking the time to really think, when do we do that? Maybe on our holidays, maybe, if we didn't have 2 small kids. So these Wednesdays are really important, and I will say it has taken me quite some time to get to a point where I could say, team, I'm actually not going to come into the office on Wednesdays, but this is how I serve Clue best. It's not an easy exercise, and maybe especially for a woman where you always feel like you're not doing enough because there's always a family not getting enough attention, there's always work, and there's always a billion things, to actually take this time out and be like, this is what we need. Yeah, it doesn't always work, but it's getting there. So I want to leave a little time for questions, because I actually think the questions are like the best part of this. So I hope you have questions, but I will say, just in conclusion, technology can do so much to help people live self-directed lives, but it's not a given. We are also living in a tech environment where we're building for addiction, we're building for digital traps, we're building for consumerism. Like, I think as founders, we have a huge responsibility to actually be part of creating the world that we want to have. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ida. Let's have some questions. We still have some time. I see a lot of hands. Please give the microphone there. Then we have a hand here as well.
Hi, Ida. Nice to meet you on the stage. I got to say your followership in Berlin is very high. People are celebrating Clue, so good on you. I wanted to ask you, because you seem to have established a very healthy way of thinking about work as a CEO, as a mother, as an entrepreneur. How would you convince someone to do, or how would I convince the CEO of the company that I'm working at to do Ida's Wednesdays? Because I think they really need it, but I think it's a hard task to do. So how did you convince yourself, is basically my question, that you need this?
So there's a few different things playing in. So first of all, I started this company because I really care about what we're trying to do in the world. So it's important to me that we give it our best chance. We might fail, but I want to know that we gave it our best shot. And so this is going to take a long time. This is a long thing. So if I burn out, I'm not optimizing the chances of this becoming a thing in the world. So I feel I had to. But it's also important to have people around that support. Hans is supportive. I have a set of investors who are supportive. And kind of giving yourself allowance to form this in your own image. Maybe the lack of role models makes that a little bit easier, because I don't know how other people do this. So I'm just going to do it my own way. A little bit like I've never worked anywhere, so I'm just creating an organization as I kind of think is common sense. Then people tell me this is really unusual. But, yeah.
Okay, we have one more question here. We have...
Hi, I'm Kalev from Superangel Fund. You are amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
You are the role model.
Made my day.
I have a question in form of finish my sentence. So the first part goes, in order to keep my family happy,
In order to keep my family happy.
You do what?
I make sure to see them every day. With exceptions, like when I'm here. But actually that's a big thing, because, I get up, I take them to school and kindergarten, so I see them for like an hour in the morning, which is like, come on, get going. And then I'm home at 6. And then usually I have to like cook something like desperately for 2 hungry, tired kids. And then at 7:30 it's like off to bed. That means I see them an hour and a half. I know that if I stay longer at work, I won't actually see them. And for me that's like, no. It's painful every single day. It is.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Give her a big applause. I think the best advice is that get home at 6 o'clock.